Welcome to the Tomorrow's World Today podcast. We sit down with experts, world-changing innovators, creators, and makers to explore how they're taking action to make tomorrow's world a better place for technology, science, innovation, sustainability, the arts, and more. On this episode, host George Davison, who is also the host of the TV series Tomorrow's World Today, sits down with Dr. Rita Baranwal, the former VP of Nuclear at the Electric Power Research Institute. Dr. Baranwal discusses nuclear energy as part of the green energy future and believes advanced manufacturing, like 3D printing, will revolutionize nuclear. She also stresses curiosity, resilience, and above all, innovation.
Welcome, Rita.
Thank you.
Well, I'm hoping that you're going to share all your life stories with us today so that our audience can pick up on how you became who you are in this in your professional world.
I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you. All right, so let's chat, first of all, about your organization, Electric Power Research Initiative. What do you do?
So Electric Power Research Institute is a nonprofit research and development organization really serving the benefit of society, and we focus on research and development for the energy sector. We look at renewables, we look at fossil, we look at nuclear. And I, as the Vice President of Nuclear, oversee all of the nuclear sector's activities.
That sounds exciting. So
you
get to see over everything. So at your organization, can we talk a little bit about where are you headed in the future? So in your field, with your title, what role does innovation play in the future?
Oh, it's very important. We need to continually innovate in the nuclear field so that we can continue to improve operations, reduce costs, and stay on top of our game, essentially.
Yes.
It is crucial that we continue to innovate, and we think it's so important that we actually have an organization that focuses really just on innovation, and we are actually looking forward to having a global innovation forum early next year in London, where we're inviting different, I would say, diverse folks to come and help us innovate for the nuclear sector.
All right. Well done. That sounds good. Can you talk a little bit about your specific position and what you do?
So I am responsible for the entire nuclear sector at EPRI, and EPRI works with its members. So we have members across the world that pay a membership fee so that they can get access to our research and development data and results so that they can continue to operate efficiently, or if they happen to encounter an issue, we've probably done some research in that area that can help them solve the problem that they might be encountering. So that's part of what we do. And then we also go out and work to look at advanced nuclear, right? And so we have a program called Advanced Nuclear Technology where we are working with advanced nuclear developers to help with eventual deployment of new nuclear technology all around the world.
All right. So tomorrow morning, I'm waking up as Rita, let's say. What does my day look like?
Oh, boy. I will probably have a meeting to talk with my team. So I have a few directors that report to me. So we'll talk about, what are we going to do for the week, or what have we done? Have we encountered any hiccups that we need to go address? Then I might have a meeting with one of my member CNOs, so another chief nuclear officer, to talk about what EPRI has done for them and what can we be doing better for them to meet their needs. I might have a meeting with my boss, who's the senior vice president at EPRI and oversees not only nuclear but also all the other generation sources. And I might have an all-hands meeting with my team. So over 200 employees, and just talk about, what's going on. We're in the middle of making sure that everyone can transition back to the office. And so, what does that look like?
Right. It's been a little chaotic the last year and a half.
Just a bit.
Well, it sounds like you have an interesting position, something that's going to definitely keep you active and in a mental and physical capacity. So can you run us back in time and talk with us a little bit about how you got an interest in the field of nuclear?
Oh, that's actually an interesting story. When I was in high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to pursue. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't know what I wanted to pursue. So I applied to schools that had good engineering programs, because that's kind of the way that my parents were pushing me. but that also had good arts programs because I thought I might want to pursue fashion design. Then my freshman year, I toured a material science and engineering department and fell in love with this instrument called a scanning electron microscope. And I said, I want to do whatever I can to work with that piece of equipment in my job. So I went to get a bachelor's in material science of engineering, went on to get my master's and my PhD in material science and engineering, and did get to use that piece of equipment in my job. And my first job out of graduate school happened to be at a nuclear facility. I wasn't seeking it out, but it just sort of coincided. And it happened to be Bettis Atomic Power Laboratory in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I was developing advanced nuclear fuel for the U.S. Navy's aircraft carriers and submarines, and I had the privilege of visiting Newport News shipyard.
That's an impressive sight.
It was very impressive, and I happened to be there when the Ronald Reagan was being constructed and was able to stand inside the compartment where the reactor was going to go. And I realized that this little itty-bitty thing that I'm working on back in the laboratory in Pittsburgh, this little bit of fuel, is going to help power this behemoth of a ship. And that's really what convinced me to stay in this business, that we work in an industry that's fueled by uranium that's so energy dense. It was really impressive. Now, if we fast forward to today, I've got 2 snarky teenagers, and I want them to inherit a world that is cleaner than it is today. And nuclear power absolutely has always been a clean and green energy source and will continue to be so. So it needs to be part of the clean energy future that we've been talking about.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing that up because I have one snarky daughter, teenager, still left in my house, and you know, she's kind of curious about that part of the world too. You know, sustainability, recycling, and you know, power and generating energy is it's a field that's full of fossil fuels and space fuels, right? And picking the best way to go is always a challenge. At least we have a blend to choose from today, right?
Exactly. It's good to have a diverse mix.
Yes. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, having like the Ronald Reagan as a aircraft carrier. I mean, you couldn't really run that thing on coal, could you?
Not without getting detected often and having to come back into port and having ships follow you with that fuel. Right.
So there's all sorts of different energy sources that play different roles through the challenges. So you look at your design problem and your logistics problems, and you try to come up with solutions, right? And that's kind of a fun way to look. It's a puzzle, and you've got to figure out the best way to go about it. So, and the same thing happens with our lives, right? We're young, we're a puzzle, and how do we navigate it? You have some young children as well, so we're going to try to reach back into that space a little more, and maybe we could shed some light on how you got interested, but further back. Sure. Like, was there something in high school that maybe, or maybe middle school? Was there a person? What was it? Can you go back and find a certain thing that ignited your imagination that worked for you? Because if it's not there for your 2 children, it's maybe not there for mine right now. But was there one for you, or 2, or something back in middle school or high school that triggered you?
I don't know that it was one event that triggered my curiosity. Mm-hmm. It was I have memories of trying to assemble furniture.
Interesting.
Right, when we would get like a new shelf or something, trying to assemble it without the instructions.
Yes.
And usually it worked out, but sometimes it didn't.
Right.
But that kind of engineering hands-on activity was really, really gratifying to me. My father worked in polymer research, and so I was also kind of had that exposure as well to that side of science and engineering. So that I think certainly helped. But there was one teacher in 8th grade who had a huge impact on me. And it wasn't necessarily in the curiosity side of things, but it was more on how I behaved in group settings. And she held a parent-teacher conference with my parents, which sounded like it might be bad news, right, because it was kind of off cycle. And so we went in and we talked, and she said, Rita's doing fine, there's no issue there, but she's really quiet. And I was shy and quiet, and the teacher said she needs to participate more and contribute to the conversation more. And so that was really a turning point for me, wherein, I would start raising my hand more, making my opinions known a bit more, not overly so, but just, knowing that it was kind of a gap. And I think that teacher really put me on a different course than I might have been on originally, and so I do credit her quite a bit.
Way to go, teacher. You got her to move into a different area. Well, and that, communication and participating is critical in the field of innovation. So
absolutely.
I don't know I don't think we as innovators here could operate without it. So
right.
Well done. So did you have, now it sounds like your dad was somewhat instrumental in getting you into science, because that's his field where he kind of came from. But were there any other mentors that you bumped into along the way other than the teacher and your father?
There were some. There were some that actually articulated something negative to me.
Yes.
And I took the position of, well, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yes.
Right? Like, well, you're a female, and I'm surprised you're doing this well in algebra, kind of thing.
Right.
And so I remember I went back and visited a high school teacher, and I went to MIT, and I had an MIT crew shirt on. I rode for MIT.
Yes.
And he said, "Oh, is that your boyfriend's shirt?" And I said, "No, it's mine."
So
and
offensive.
so it was that kind of, even my teachers had this mentality of, well, you should pursue this, and others should pursue this other route. And so it was more of a feisty kind of defiance, perhaps. But it worked.
Right.
Nonetheless, it worked for me.
It got you fired up.
Right.
And you went to go chase it, and no one was going to stop you. Well done. We love that kind of determination. And I think that there's a lot to be said about that. It's the failure, having failing at something. It's a great motivator, right? It's like, I want to do that again. I know I can figure out a way, or I'm not supposed to be able to do this. I'm, quote, a woman, right? And I'll tell you what, if I was a girl and somebody says, I'd want to go run right through that wall, right?
Yep.
So I'm glad you did. Thank you for your contribution. So let's continue. Let's see here. We're going to talk a little bit about advice and a role toward the future. If you could do any one thing over in high school that really just didn't work for you, other than the one item we talked about before, what I'm going to try to relay here is, when we're in high school, we don't always do the best things. We're in high school. We're growing. We're making all sorts of decisions. Our minds are forming. Did you have any trip-ups along the way, or was it pretty kind of a straight course to MIT?
Oh, I'm sure there were trip-ups. Yeah. I was far from perfect.
Yes.
It was high school. It was difficult.
Yes.
And I certainly was. You know how they have those superlatives: best smile, nicest hair, all of that.
Sure.
I was, of course, given my drive, was at the point of driving for or pushing for most likely to be successful, or most likely to whatever that superlative is. And I got voted most individualistic. So, which was fine. In hindsight, I'm proud of that.
Yes.
But at the time, I thought, well, wow, everyone thinks I'm a loner.
Yeah, right. I would too if I was you.
Right? So it was, I had not hung out with the popular kids, or, certainly wouldn't consider myself a jock. But I did my own thing and felt at the time that it wasn't the right thing. So my advice, my thought to folks who are kind of in that situation is, it all works out. It all works out. And one of the highlights of my career is that I was nominated by the President of the United States to be the Assistant Secretary for Nuclear Energy in the U.S. Department of Energy. And when that happened, the first thought that came to my mind is, if my high school self could see me now.
Wow, that's insightful. That really is. Thank you. Because that is so powerful to think back and look back like that. Because as a young person, we don't do that, do we?
Well, you don't have that much to look back towards,
It's
right?
almost It's scary to like look forward and look into the future and say, how do I dress? How do I look? What did I accomplish? What am I doing? Am I married? Do I have kids? I mean, there's a million other things that are scaring us about that future, and it shouldn't be scary.
No,
you're going to navigate, right? But it sounds like you've navigated very well. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Well, thank you. But the course was not pre-paved. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. It's not pre-paved, everybody. You're going to have to figure it out. And sometimes it's a rocky road.
Well said.
All right, so let's chat a little, if we could, about, did you have exposure to other fields other than the one that nuclear?
I had I would say exposure to engineering as a whole.
Yes.
And a lot of different science kinds of things, scientific activities, I would say. I had internships at aerospace companies, at NASA, and also through graduate school, tried a few different things as well. You asked about regrets.
Yes.
The one regret that I do have was in college, and MIT had this glass blowing facility in the basement. And to this day, I regret not taking part in that activity, because now I've tried glass blowing and I loved it. And I thought, I had that at my disposal for 3 years, and I didn't take advantage of it.
Isn't it a release? You can go in and work and work and work, and then go do a creative activity. Some people bake, some people blow glass, but the creative arts are such a great way to just release. And then you can get back to that other grinding work that you enjoy that challenges your brain, right? I'm glad you found that, because I enjoy doing creative arts myself, and that's at least what we actually refer to that around here as we manage it, right? We manage the process of creativity, and sometimes the mind is open, which we emulate with the open hand, and we work on the problems, and we try to grind through solutions, and as we're doing this, the mind gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and we can't get any more ideas. So what do? We break. We go blow glass. We go do cooking. We go do something else until our mind relaxes. And then when we get back together, we can solve those hard problems again,
And that's really important.
It is. So managing the process. Okay. Well, knowing what you know, do you believe that at this day and age, anybody could be successful?
I do. I think the few things that I would encourage folks to listen to is there's going to be other folks in your life that will see something in you that you may not see in yourself. You might get that tap on the shoulder or that phone call or that text saying, hey, I think you should try this, or I think you should apply for this job, or this internship might be good for you. And you yourself might think, I'm not qualified, or I don't think I want to try that. I would say try it, because that individual sees something in you that you may not see in yourself, and those opportunities don't come that frequently. I've had 2 such opportunities, and they've both really worked out for me. But both times I doubted myself, I doubted my abilities, but trusted that those individuals who said, you need to apply for this job, or you need to try being a manager.
Yes. Well, Rita, it sounds you've been very successful in your career, and I'm curious, why did you decide to be studious? Why did it become important? Was it something because your parents said you had to do it, or did you find that you solved a problem and then you said, I want to do more of that? Can you locate that space in your mind as to how that worked?
Some of it was certainly, my parents saying, this is important.
Yes.
But also the satisfaction that came with figuring out, a complex math problem, or understanding chemical equations and how they worked, or physics for that matter. It like sparked something in me where, I get it. I get it, and let me try this other one. Or if I don't get it and I'm failing, let me figure it out. Let me figure it out and see how to get the right answer. Or maybe there's not a right answer, and you go forth and you provide your thought or your solution, and the teacher or the professor thinks, that's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
right? A little bit of positive feedback, I guess,
Yes.
can go a long way as well.
It sure can. Oh, my goodness. I'd say that my teachers as well, the ones that inspired me the most, they were engaging. And I love my chemistry teacher and a few others that positively encouraged me to do certain things. And it made big impacts. And maybe that's another way of looking at it, too, is when others believe in you, I didn't want to let them down. And I didn't want to let myself down. But I don't know, I just fell in love with chemistry after that moment. So what do you think the next big innovation is going to be in nuclear? Can you share any of those thoughts with us?
I think using advanced manufacturing techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So within that umbrella is additive manufacturing or 3D printing.
Mm-hmm.
To develop new components and perhaps new fuel
Mm-hmm.
for the nuclear industry will be revolutionary. You can design a component to fit whatever shape you need and perform whatever function you need,
Mm-hmm.
versus being at the moment confined by what's called subtractive manufacturing.
Yes.
And confined to specific materials and specific pieces of equipment. So I think really leveraging advanced manufacturing techniques is going to be the next big thing. And what we need in our industry to overcome is this mentality of not invented here, right? Well, we didn't invent it, so we aren't going to be using it. No, let's bring in the other brainiacs and
Mm-hmm.
let's use what they've already invented.
Yes. All right. So let's go one step in a totally different direction, and we're going to imagine that we have some education leaders, let's say, based on your background and history. If we could talk to those people, what kind of recommendations would you make to them that might be beneficial?
I would say to that community, make sure that you leverage all of the resources that are out there. There's so much online content now,
Mm-hmm.
even specific to nuclear energy. The content is out there. It's a matter of, yes, you have to, even educators have to do the homework and find what's appropriate to fit
Yes.
into their lesson plans. But to look for new information, new content, for those that might be in the post-secondary aspect of things, online courses as well that students can be encouraged to take that may not be at their university or even the associate's community college or associate's degree kind of programs.
Mm-hmm.
To me, just absolutely remarkable how much information is out there that we can all, even me and you,
Yes.
participate in and learn new things about.
Well, hopefully they're listening. And Rita, thank you so much for your time today and helping our audience to see a little into your world. And so thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tomorrow's World Today podcast. Join us next time as we continue to explore the worlds of inspiration, creation, innovation, and production. Discover more at tomorrowsworldtoday.com, connect with us on social media at TWT Explore, and find us wherever podcasts are available.